Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Tuesday. A big day away, or a big evening certainly awaits at the World Cup later today, England versus Wales. I don't know where you're going to be watching this in terms of this video around the world, but if you are watching it in England or Wales, I'm sure you are as up for this one as I am. A big game. England, of course, pretty much qualified barring an absolute disaster. Wales have it all to do after that disappointing result for them against Iran last time out. It does look like Bukayo Saka isn't going to be involved in this one, not from the start anyone. Gareth Southgate is making a few changes from starting 11 that played against USA last time out. I think he's basically resting a few players as well ahead of the knockout stages. So no Bukayo Saka. It looks like Marcus Rashford might well be playing on the right, or Jack Grealish playing on the right. One of those two. I think it's Marcus Rashford. And yeah, Ben White and Aaron Ramsdale not involved either. So no Arsenal starters in this one for England later, but still a really big game. Intrigued to see how it goes. Can England bounce back? Hopefully they can after that disappointing draw against USA. And what will Wales do? I'm sure they can't be quite as bad as they were against Iran. It'd be nice if they were, but I can't imagine they will be. And if they're not up for this one, then they're never going to be able to get up for a game. And I imagine they are definitely going to be up for this one. So it's going to be a proper feisty affair, I imagine. Hopefully England come out on top, win the group, and can get themselves through to the group stages the knockout stages in style. Talk a little bit about the World Cup later on in this video, but I wanted to start on Arsenal. And I said yesterday the players were all starting to come back. Last week we saw our first glimpse of them back at London Colney yesterday. The club putting out some stuff, putting out some photos, putting out a little bit of a training edit as well, which was good to see. As I said yesterday, it just makes you start feeling a little bit more like it's, Premier League football, club football is getting a little bit closer now, and seeing those pictures for the first time and back in Colney just helped with that feeling. Of course, not everyone's there. As I said yesterday, they're kind of drip feeding back some of the players who did play international friendlies, for example, rather than going straight on holiday when the Premier League finished. They will have a little bit longer time off, and they'll come back later on in the week ahead of going out to Dubai on Sunday. But looking at the pictures yesterday, Gabriel was there, Holding was there, Zinchenko, Eddie Nketiah was there, Reece Nelson, Rob Holding, those sort of players, Cedric Suarez. So, plenty of players back there, a few youngsters involved. Matt Smith was involved, I saw. I think he'll definitely be going to Dubai. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. Miles Lewis-Skelly was there as well. Interesting to see if he goes in terms of some of the really sort of young players. Will Ethan Nwaneri go to Dubai? We'll find out a little bit later in the week. There is that game against Watford to come at some point this week at London Colney as well. So that will be one to keep an eye on as Mikel starts putting the players through their paces, so to speak. I think Dubai is going to be a pretty intense training camp from what I hear. I don't think they're going over there just for a little bit of an extended holiday by any means. I remember when they came back from Dubai last time, the players were all saying, it was a real hard shift they had to put in over there. Arteta wasn't messing around, and from what I understand, I think it's going to be pretty similar this time. It's not going to be of an extended holiday. There will be a lot of team building going on there. I think Arteta used Dubai to do that really well last time. They came back, and the sort of few months after Dubai, they played really well until obviously the collapse at the end in that last week of the season, which we won't talk about. But prior to that little bad run of form, the Dubai trip, the players said worked really well because with all the team bonding. I imagine we're going to see that again in this trip, but they're going to be worked very hard because Arteta wants them ready to hit the ground running when the Premier League does return against West Ham on Boxing Day. We're only 9 days away now from the first game in Dubai. That match against Lyon's next Thursday. And that's going to come around pretty quickly, I imagine. And you think it's going to be Watford in the next couple of days, then they're all going to be heading off on Sunday, get there a couple of days at the training, and then bang straight into the match against Lyon on Thursday. And it's a big break, this. It's a big time away for some of these players because, Arteta, he does have his favourites. I think we know that, and we understand why, because you look at the starting 11, the quality of it, and then you look at what happens when the starting 11 isn't there, and he changes things for the cup games, and you can see there is a drop-off. But even having said that, I still think this is a big little break for some of these players. It's a good opportunity to impress when some of the star names aren't there. You can really sort of catch Mikel Arteta's eye and maybe force your way into his plans a little bit more. And I'm thinking of even someone like Cedric Suarez, who's basically just not even had a sniff this season. If he goes out and performs well, sort of puts himself, he's not going to come in and not Ben White out of the team, obviously, but he might at least give himself a chance of some minutes in the second half of the season. Reece Nelson as well, Sambi Lokonga desperately needs to impress because he hasn't really taken his opportunities so far this season. Fabio Vieira as well. I mean, he's not back yet because he's one of the players who had a little bit of a sort of couple of international games with the Portugal under-21s. Fabio Vieira, Mikel Arteta just singled him out as saying he felt that this break was going to be really important for Fabio Vieira because he didn't have a pre-season with the club last season because he was injured, a proper pre-season anyway. This is basically going to be his first time being able to go away and train and play at one of these sort of mid-season, pre-season camps, so to speak. So it's a really big opportunity for him to maybe settle into the group more, impress in front of Arteta, that sort of thing. So, yes, on one hand, it's a training camp, it's a warm-over training camp, it's a time to get away, but it's still a really important time for some of these players to try and catch Mikel Arteta's eye ahead of the second half of the season, which we all know is going to be such a crucial period for Arsenal. FA Cup draw took place yesterday. I like that draw as well. Oxford United away for Arsenal. I've never been to Oxford United, even though I don't actually live that far away from it, and I pretty much drove past the stadium the other day, actually, on a random family day out. So I'm really looking forward to that one. That'll be interesting. Marcus McGain, ex-Arsenal youth player who left Arsenal to go to Barcelona. He's now playing at Oxford. So it'll be a big game for him. And I think last time Arsenal played Oxford in the FA Cup, they went on and won the competition. So maybe that's a good omen. We shall wait and see. But that's a good draw. I think there's been some disappointing cup draws recently. Look at the League Cup this year, Brighton at home. It was just such a dull, boring draw. But this one's going to be, it's got quite a nice feel about it. League One side, away from home, new ground for a lot of people. Arsenal haven't played Oxford in a long time. So it's just a good FA Cup draw. So looking forward to that one. Manchester City versus Chelsea as well with that draw. So one of the big teams going out in the third round stage. Okay, so back to the World Cup. As I said, Bukayo Saka not going to be involved for England today, so that's a little bit disappointing. He might well come on. We'll wait and see. I'm not buying into the fact he's been dropped by any means. I think if Southgate dropped Saka after one disappointing display against USA, that would be dreadful management, and it's Saka was far from the only player who underperformed in that one. I think it's more of a case of he's just resting him ahead of the knockout stages. I imagine Sterling and Saka, who both look like they're not starting today, will come back in for the first knockout game. I'm glad that Bellingham's kept his place because I thought that Bellingham was going to come out and Henderson was going to replace him, and it looks like Henderson is going to start, but he's going to start with Rice, and Henderson might well play in a more slightly advanced, almost a number 10 type role, which is, I'm quite happy with, because if he'd have taken Henderson out, brought Henderson in for Bellingham, I don't want to dig Southgate out, and I know a lot of you will probably be bored of this. You don't want to hear me talk about England, but Southgate's done such good things for England, and I want to like him. I want to carry on supporting him, but some of the stuff he's made, and some of the football he plays, some of the decisions he makes is making it harder and harder to. And I think if he'd have dropped Bellingham for this one and brought in Henderson against Wales for Bellingham, I'd have been so massively disappointed. Anyway, good day for Thomas Partey yesterday, and for Ghana. Fantastic day's football at the World Cup yesterday. Really enjoyed it. Ghana winning 3-2 in a proper topsy-turvy match with South Korea. 2-0 Ghana, 2-2, and then Ghana go and get the win. Kudos got the winner. He looks a player. Kudos really impressed me when I've seen him for Ajax this season, and he's taken that form into the World Cup as well. Interesting to see what happens to him. Very, very close to moving to Everton in the summer. Tried to force through that move. Ajax were having none of it, and you can understand why now, because his value's probably doubled almost because of his World Cup that he's had, similar to Cody Gakpo with PSV. Interesting to see what happens with him, but he looks a hell of a player, and a real talent. Granit Xhaka, he came out on the losing side yesterday in that game against Brazil. Xhaka, in the build-up to that game, and said he was going to, if Gabriel Jesus or Gabriel Martinelli got in his way, he was going to smash them. And he kind of did right at the end of that game when Jesus came on, and Jesus was pressing, and him and Xhaka got into a right little thing. Both ended up on the floor, and they were laughing about it at the end. You saw they sort of picked each other up. Xhaka was laughing as he walked off. Disappointing day for Granit. Good day for Brazil. Again, Martinelli and Jesus were on the bench. Martinelli didn't come on. Jesus did come on sort of midway through the second half, put himself about a lot, pressed really well, but didn't really get an opportunity. You can see when he's playing, Jesus, when he's come on in the first two games for Brazil. He's so desperate for a goal because he didn't score at the World Cup last time. You got a lot of criticism for that. You can see how determined he is to score, and when he's only getting like 20 or so minutes, you can see he's desperate every time his teammate doesn't pass him the ball when he thinks he's in a good position. You can see how annoyed he gets, and I hope he starts the next game. I think he might, because Brazil are qualified now, so I think Brazil might change some things, and I imagine Richarlison might come out and Jesus might start that game. Hopefully he can get his goal there, just calm down a little bit, because he just feels, when I'm watching him play at the moment in this competition, whenever the time he's been on the pitch, he just looks so overly eager to impress and to take his chance and to get himself a goal. He just needs to perhaps calm down a little bit. But look, still good win for them. Brazil cruising through, still my favourites for this competition. Absolutely. And it was a great day yesterday. Really enjoyed the World Cup. So many good games. 3-3. The Cameroon Serbia game was absolutely bonkers. Loved that game. And yeah, good entertainment all round. Hopefully today's games are similar as well. All right, that's it from me, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate your time as always. Please do enjoy the games today at the World Cup if you're an England fan. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we get the win we need to cruise through to the knockout stages as group winners. Speak to you soon, everyone. Have a good day.